Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I don't believe we have any newcomers today, do we? No?
It's the first time I've been here today.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Don. All right. Many warm thanks to everyone for your tithes and gifts to the church, community, and we are grateful for your support. I have a couple of brief announcements before we begin. We have a Lenten Bible study. It's a possible 6-week study group facilitated by Cliff Miller. And Lent begins soon on February 22nd and goes until Easter. Traditionally, it's regarded as a time for spiritual growth and introspection. The Bible study group would meet for an hour each week to explore the Gospel of Matthew. If you would like to take part, there's a sign-up sheet on the back table, or you can email your interest via the church website at unitydelawareohio.org. We are also doing a community food drive over the winter months, collecting good quality canned and packaged food for the food pantry at the people in need of Delaware County. If you can bring those in any Sunday over the next few months. There's a box in the rear of the sanctuary, and we'll make sure they get delivered. Today is Guest Speaker Sunday, and we're blessed to have Maggie Irvin as our speaker today. Maggie has been learning and sharing practical spiritual ideas for over 40 years. She is completing a 3-year spiritual director program from Wellstreams that is all about cultivating awareness of the divine in everyday life. Maggie is also a talented artist. She has a degree from the Columbus College of Art and Design, and she has a master's degree in spiritual psychology from the University of Santa Monica. Her message for us today is entitled, Love is the Answer. And Maggie, thank you so much for joining us today. We are also grateful to have Don Irvin and Jack Widener providing our music for today. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, we start with prayer, holding the highest in mind and heart for ourselves, each other, and our communities and our world. If you're listening online, remember you can send a prayer request anytime via our website, unitydelawareohio.org. Just use the prayer request tab at the top of the page. Now Dawn will lead us into prayer with Surely the Presence. Please feel free to sing along.
Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
presence of the Lord is in this place. Love is in this place, and grace. Let us get still in this peaceful pause. I invite you to close your eyes. And in the stillness of this moment, there is love and peace. As you turn within and notice your life-giving breath, you allow yourself to relax and get comfortable. Peace, be still and know that God is working in your life. Centered in this moment, allow love and comfort to soothe you. Allow God's loving presence to radiate to every cell of your body, your life, and your world. Let this love radiate to every person who's here and every person online, every person, everywhere, every being, and all life, including this planet that we live on. Let this loving presence guide you to more peace, grace, love, and strength. Breathe and feel your peace increase, and feel the wonder of God all around you. You are blessed and a blessing with a peace of mind, a peaceful heart, and we allow this day to unfold in the most beautiful ways. You are loved and never alone. And let's just take another deep breath and relax and come back to your surroundings, knowing that God is love, all is well, and so it is.
Our Love is Here to Stay by George and Ira Gershwin. It's very clear our love is here to stay, not for a year, but ever and a day. The radio and the telephone and the movies that we know may just be passing fancies, and in time may go. But, oh my dear, our love is here to stay, not for a year, forever and a day. In time the Rockies may crumble, Gibraltar may tumble, they're only made of clay. But our love is here to stay. In time the Rockies may tumble, Gibraltar may tumble, they're only made of clay. But
Thank you, Don and Jack. And our love is here to stay. That is what remains, yes? Welcome all. Welcome one and all. My name is Maggie Irvin, and I am so pleased and honored to share some ideas and thoughts with you about my favorite topic, love. It is so nice to be part of such an inclusive and caring community. My title today is Love is the Answer. To what questions? Maybe all of them. Let's explore that. I'll also explore what I mean by love and share some ideas, maybe how to ask questions and how love might be the answer. But first, I have two very corny jokes for you about love. What did one volcano say to the other volcano? I love you. And why do skunks fall in love? Because they are sentimental. Now, here's what a few children had to say about love. 7-year-old Noel said, "Love is when you tell a boy you like his shirt, and then he wears it every day." Isn't that true, though? We might say, "Oh, I like your shirt," or "I like your glasses," but maybe we're really saying, "I love you." And Billy, age 4, says, "Love is the way they say your name. It's different. You know that your name is safe in their mouth." Wow. Love is safety to this 4-year-old. And Nikki, age 6, said, "If you want to learn to love better, you should start with someone you don't like." So true. Sometimes those who don't seem so lovable might really be crying out for our love. And what is love? Well, certainly love means something different to every person. But today I am speaking about the broader, more inclusive kind of love. The Bible calls it agape love. And one definition says agape love is the highest form of love and charity. It is love of God and all people and beings. A love that transcends any circumstance. I love that. That's powerful. Well, I was so inspired by love when I was watching the Christmas Eve service back in December. Reverend Joanne Blum, who is the minister here, spoke about that all-encompassing, inclusive agape love. Well, I was so moved by her inspiring message that I said yes to coming out of hibernation and coming here today to connect with you. That's what love can do. Love acts like a ripple effect, and one tiny act of love can change all of us. We can all feel it. Love can move a mountain, or in this case, love can move me out of my comfort zone. I was also inspired by Reverend Joanne and her husband Joe when the pandemic hit. As a nation and a world, we were asked to stay in. Reverend Joanne and Joe, I might have asked the question with compassion for the community: how can we serve? And I think the answer was love. Here's how it showed up. They set up and videotaped their Sunday service from their lovely home so that anyone could see and experience the love. And we and I got to see the love that they have for each other, the love for their environment right outside their home, and the love for their world at large, while sharing their inspiring music and messages. Now, we could also see the love that was between all their sweet pets, and especially their beloved golden retrievers, Buddy and Bella, who we got to see happily receive treats before the service started. Now that's love to me. And during that unsure and chaotic time, anyone could tune into that love that was present. Well, love is always present, but in this case, I actually had to tune into that station to be part of it. And I could feel human and spiritual connection. And we all are connected in the internet web and in the web of life with love. Love is the answer. Someone asked Jesus, of all the commandments, which is the greatest? And he answered, love. Love is the answer. He said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and all your strength. And the second is this, love your neighbor as yourself. For there is no commandments greater than these. This is important because Jesus was asking us to see a new way of living in the world. It was no longer a world where someone takes an eye for an eye. Now we are being asked to embrace the idea that love is the greatest commandment. And he said, love one another as I have loved you. And he loved everyone. Love is mentioned in the Bible anywhere from 300 to over 500 times, depending on the translation. In John 4:16, it says, God is love, and all who live in love live in God. God is love. God is love. Wow. I first think I learned that about this unconditional and accepting love at Unity when I was not even 20 years old, and it changed my life. I also heard this there. Since there is not a spot where God is not, love is everywhere present, in you, in me, in everyone, and in every being. Charles Fillmore, the founder of this philosophy, said, love is an inner quality that sees good everywhere and in everyone. Wow. Another breakthrough. Love is everywhere. It might not look like it. It might not sound like we thought it would, but it is love nonetheless. So if love is everywhere present, why can't we always see it? The answer might not be because we might not be aware of it, or we might need to focus more on it. Love is our essence, and it's always there. And love is a practice. And the more we practice seeing it and becoming aware of it, the better we are at finding it. Do you remember Where's Waldo? Where's Waldo is a series of children's books that came out, I think, in the late 80s, and it consists of a series of intricate and detailed drawings of, and it was a double spread page, of all these tiny little illustrations of all these people doing all kinds of things in any given location. And the object was to find this character who was hidden in this world, Waldo. Now, when I first searched for Waldo, all I could see were hundreds of people doing all kinds of things. And like in life, I was at first overwhelmed. And I was frustrated at looking at all that messy, confusing chaos. But as I continued to look, I practiced, and along the way, I got very good at finding Waldo quickly, no matter how chaotic and busy his world seemed. I was able to find him quickly because, number one, I intended to find him, and number two, I started to focus just on him and not all the busyness and distractions. Now, there's an answer sheet that you can find that shows you exactly where Waldo was hiding. But if I was told the answer as to where Waldo was hiding, I wouldn't have ever learned skills to find out how to find him. So, would it help in the next time I tried to find him? I wouldn't have learned. There would be no reason to look any farther, and part of life is growing and practicing and gathering new insights and strengths along the way. Where's love? Everywhere. It might take practice to see the love and hear the love. As you said, I'm graduating in May from a 3-year program called Wellstreams to be a spiritual director or companion. And boy, have I needed to practice finding and hearing the love. When I find myself in the depths of fear or confusion, I'm still learning to sit and quiet and be aware of the accepting, loving presence of Source that is in each of us, and to notice that loving presence with every person that I sit with. Sometimes when I've companioned a fellow traveler, they share deep pains and struggles with me. At first, I wanted to fix their pain or at least give them an answer. But that would have been my answer, not theirs. The greatest gift I can give them and myself is to focus on, allow, and acknowledge the love that they already are and possess inside. That presence of God or love where they can find their own answers. I thank my teachers and classmates that held me in a state of acceptance and love as I shared many old stories of pain over and over again, until I could finally hear and feel the love that was always there. Maybe by the 20th time I told my old story, I could start to have the courage to see and tell a new story about love. How do you or I companion someone on this journey called life? Love. Love may be the answer. One requirement for our graduation was that we go on a week-long silent retreat. That way we could really practice listening for love. And at first I heard the same stuff. But then I think by about the third day, I could really hear the love of the birds singing, and I could see the love in the deer. And maybe we can't all just go on a retreat, but we certainly can sit quietly for a few minutes each day and listen for that still small voice of our sweet and shy soul. In the quiet, we might hear an answer to something that we've been dealing with over and over again. Have you ever asked, why do I have to go through this again? Or why is this coming up again? I sure have. Well, in the movie Groundhog Day, have you seen that? It was an older movie. We get a chance to really look at this cycle. By the way, a few days ago, February 2nd, was Groundhog Day. And it seems that according to the folklore, at the groundhog season shadow, we'll have 6 more months of winter.
Weeks.
Weeks. Oh. Thank you for that correction. According to this year's groundhog, I guess we will have 6 more weeks of winter. So in this movie Groundhog Day, the actor Bill Murray portrays Phil Connors, a cynical television weatherman that has to report on Groundhog Day event in a small town. Well, he can't stand reporting on this kind of stuff. He hates the town, hates his coworkers, and is annoyed by everyone. He acts snarky and sarcastic to everyone. He just wants to get out of town, get a better job, and get away from these people. Well, a storm comes, and he's stuck in town overnight. And when he wakes up the next morning to the same exact song on the radio that woke him up the day before, he realizes he is trapped in a time loop, and he has to relive February 2nd, Groundhog Day, with these people in this town over and over again. Well, he becomes very depressed and gets even more angry. Day after day, he's trapped in this vicious cycle until he asks, how do I get out? Love. Love was the answer. He tried everything before, being meaner and snarkier and eating everything in sight and being disruptive and avoiding people. But it wasn't until he started falling in love with the life he was given that he started to feel hope. He fell in love with music and learned the piano. He fell in love with art and learned ice sculpting. He even fell in love with the town and all the people. And he started doing kind gestures every day so that their life could be easier. He thought of others, and he wanted to be a beacon of love. And you know what? He finally woke up one morning, and he was free. Since he now saw love or a cry for love everywhere he looked, he wanted to stay. He decided to look for opportunities to love and be a part of that town with those people and make a difference in their lives. And a new day began, and a new life began. The poet Maya Angelou said, "Love breaks down barriers and leaps fences." So what can ultimately free us? Love. Love's the answer. And it can look different for every person. When we ask a question centered in love in the quiet, love may ask for us to speak up and say what's been heavy on our heart. Or love may ask us to tell a new story of love. Love may ask us to be still and know, or love may say it's time to move. Love may say, keep doing what you're doing and cultivate more faith. Or love may say, stop what you're doing and try something new. Love may ask us to reach out for help or to be the help. Whatever love asks of us, if we're centered in love, we will always have a powerful and sweet companion along the way. We are never alone. When you listen in that quiet place, love might tell you to bring in that stray cat who will bring more love than you know. Or love might tell you it's time to help your beloved older sick dog cross the rainbow bridge. Life has many questions. Love is the answer. My dear friend recently asked, how can I help my mom in her last days here on earth? And she heard, hold her close until her last breath. And she did. Love. Love is the answer. And even in extreme cases of injustice, Martin Luther King Jr. heard the call for love as he tirelessly marched for civil rights in the 50s and 60s. He asked, what can I do? As he stood up for what he believed. And he heard love. He said, darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. So in summary, you are love. And if you feel you need to connect with more love, breathe. Practice looking for love. Because like looking for Waldo, it does get easier to find it in the chaos. Listen with and for love. When you hear someone's story, let a long pause linger. For then the person who is in front of you can find their own love inside and maybe their own answer. Be the love, cultivate love, and bring it into every situation so you can break old cycles and patterns that no longer serve you like Phil did in Groundhog Day. And finally, allow love to lighten even the darkest of times. Martin Luther King Jr. said, hatred paralyzes life. Love releases it. Hatred confuses life. Love harmonizes it. Hatred darkens life. Love illuminates it. How can you and I be a light in this world? Love. Love is the answer. Let's take that into prayer. Dear God, let us connect to that loving presence. And if it feels right, you might even put a hand on your heart. Dear God, thank you for this deep, rich, and abiding love that is always present, always accessible, and always holding us. We are never alone. We all have your love inside our hearts, in our lives, and in our world. Help us to hear with love and hear loving answers to bring us more peace, more harmony, more grace, more love in every area of our lives than ever before. Help us to hold that loving presence for every person, being, and event, and living, and this planet that we cohabitate with. Help us to be that loving presence in a world that quietly calls for our love. Help us to see past any obstacle to your love and divine guidance. May we be renewed and refreshed as we rest and relax in your loving arms and truly know that all is well, and so it is. Amen. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Almost like being in love by Lerner and Lowe. Maybe God's love showed me the power, for I could sing at Unity of Delaware in about an hour. Maybe God's love helped me to thrive, for I know God's love is alive. What a day this has been, what a rare mood I'm in, for it's almost like being in love. There's a smile on my face for the whole human race, for it's almost like being in love. All the music of love seems to be like a bell that is ringing for me. And from the way that I feel when that bell starts to peal, I could swear I was falling, I would swear I was falling. It's almost like being in love. When we walked in the parade, not a word did I say. It was almost like being in love. But your arm linked in mine made the world kind of fine. It was almost like being in love. All the music of love seems to be like a bell that is ringing for me. And from the way that I feel when that love starts to peel, I could swear I was falling, I would swear I was falling. It's almost like being in love. I could swear